That I am a student of counseling and I am not a licensed therapist. The following simulation is used solely for the purpose of academic practice and training, and all parties involved understand that this exercise is for educational purposes only. Hi, Scott. It's been a few weeks since we've seen each other. How have you been doing?
Well, last Friday I just got back from a trip. I had my company sent me to Houston for some training, and I was really kind of nervous about going. I didn't know what to expect. Um, I didn't know what kind of people were going to be there. After I got there and the instructor started talking, I got kind of easier about it, and I got to meet most of the guys that were in the class with me. And then when Friday came around, there were two tests we had to take. There was one written exam, and there was a lab practical that we had to do. I was pretty confident about the lab practical, but not the exam.
So, were you anxious for both of those?
For the exam, yeah, not the lab practical.
Okay.
I mean, the lab practical just consisted of doing all the testing procedures that we had done all week, so I felt pretty confident about those. They were kind of easy.
How did you deal with being nervous about your test?
I don't really deal very well with it. I was the same way in college when I had a test coming up. I'd always have my little problems that occurred right before the exam, and then when I got done, I felt pretty confident about what I put on paper, and still have to wait to see if I actually passed or not, which is something else I'm kind of worried about because my company paid about $3,000 for me to go to this training, which was in Houston, and if I don't pass, to take the test again, it's like another $900 just for the exam.
So you're nervous about that as well,
Yeah,
and anxious.
I don't. They shouldn't have to pay again, so I'd probably pay for the extra exam on my own if I didn't pass.
Okay, well at least you have come up with a way to resolve the issue. If by chance you didn't pass.
Yeah, but we can't afford it right now.
True, but sometimes it's not terrible. It's not the end of the world by any means.
Right.
So what do you have coming up? How you got anything new going on?
Yeah, my boss told me on Monday that I have to give a presentation on this class that I went to.
Okay.
So I'm nervous about that too.
So let's talk about that presentation. Do you have anything else you want to discuss?
Yeah, we bought a new house and I'm nervous about that too.
About what about it?
Fixing it up.
Okay, so fixing house. Okay, so let's discuss those two things today. Alright, let's start with the presentation.
Basically, my boss said that any time that they send somebody to one of these training facilities, that as soon as they get back, they have to give a presentation on it. It's like the company's policy now, because I'm the only one who's been sent to training. I'm nervous. Both my bosses are going to be there. Everybody from the office is supposed to be there. He even told the human resource director to order us lunch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they're all going to be sitting in there for my presentation.
So you're nervous because it is such a big ordeal.
Yeah, I thought it was just going to be me getting up and talking for 5 minutes about what I learned, and it's obviously not like that. Like, she even told me I needed an itinerary.
Oh, okay. Well, have you come up with that?
No.
Okay, so when is this presentation occurring?
Whenever I tell them I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm supposed to get with her to set up I guess whenever I want to do it, and so that she can have food ordered, but I mean, I'm doing my other job, so I don't have time to put an itinerary together.
Have your bosses set a casual date for it, or have they given you a time frame?
I know that one of my bosses told me Monday wasn't good, and I thought it was going to be Monday.
Okay.
So I got to basically look at the calendar and see who's going to be there and try to schedule it when she's supposed to send out an email so that everybody can reply whether they want to attend it or not. But if they cater food, I would assume that most people would partake in the. They didn't say I'd have to have a PowerPoint, but I don't really like half button much of anything, so I probably will do a PowerPoint with an itinerary. She told me to do an itinerary because one of my other bosses, he's kind of a take charge kind of guy. And if I don't have an itinerary, he'll take charge of my conversation and he'll join into the, and then he'll take over it basically, and I won't have much to say on it.
Okay, so what we're going to do during this time is we're going to go through and we're going to imagine what it's like giving a presentation, okay? It may be awkward the first time, but we're going to, that way you're less nervous to give it, okay? So let's imagine, it's on whatever day. Where do you see yourself being at first?
In the conference room.
Okay, is anybody there?
Yeah, everybody's there.
Okay. Are you standing, sitting?
I would be standing.
Okay, let's start off with like the first part of it, like before you even, get in there. Okay, so where would you be? Like, okay, you first arrived to work. Okay, so you're at work. What are you doing?
Well, if it's the beginning of the morning, I'd probably be doing my other stuff, but as the more and more it gets closer to me actually having to give the presentation, I'd probably be in the conference room before everybody else, either preparing, setting up my computer so that I could put it on the overhead screen that's there, just being prepared to where they're not having to wait on me.
Okay, so you found that, getting there early, preparing makes you a little less nervous.
Yeah, if I was last minute, I would
Okay.
really not handle it very well.
All right, so you set up, you've done everything you needed to do. What do you imagine next happening?
Take a deep breath and pray.
Okay.
Just hope it goes well.
Okay, does that ease your nerves?
Most of the time.
Okay, good. Good.
Because I usually have been, in school I was really good about giving presentations. I never had a problem getting up in front of people and talking, but this is my job. This is what I went to school for 4 years. It's what I like doing. And I just want to succeed. I don't want to seem like an idiot up there in front of everybody else.
So after you've paused and prayed, what do you see next?
I guess I'd probably tell everybody that I was ready.
Okay.
And that they could come in whenever they got a chance. I mean, I wouldn't rush them, but I just let them know that I was ready, and if they were ready to go ahead and join me.
Okay, good. So you thought about, you prepare and you would tell them you're ready. Then what next do you see happening?
I'd probably hand out my itinerary. I don't necessarily have to introduce myself, but I can introduce, what I'm talking about. But after the meeting on Monday, they all kind of know what I'm planning on doing because they told me that I was going to give the presentation in front of everybody.
All right. So after you introduce, next, what do you see?
I guess kind of an overview of what I'm going to talk about in the presentation.
Okay, so are you still nervous during this time? Or are you less nervous?
I'll probably, once I start, I'll become less nervous. Okay. But it's the idea of having to do it that's going to make me nervous from start. Okay. Before I start.
So while you're doing it, you're a little less nervous. Okay, so you see yourself going through it.
I'll go to the restroom before I start.
Okay, well, thank you. All right, so then after that, you're continuing and you're going on, and then do you see any problems getting involved, or?
I don't think so, because I'm pretty sure everybody's kind of interactive, so they'll all try to ask questions while I'm giving the presentation, so that'll be good. I just got to be ready, and I skimmed through the book last week. That was another reason why I was nervous about the test, because I didn't really read it as well as I should have, but I read really slowly, and just so I make sure I get it, I just didn't have the time to do it.
Okay, so do you think maybe, reading the book beforehand may
I don't know about reading it, but I would definitely skim over it again to pick out key points and, things that were highlighted.
Okay, so you imagine yourself reading it, and in the presentation, questions are being asked, and are you prepared for those questions?
Yeah, I will be, because I have a pretty good memory about all that we talked about.
Okay.
So, and I'm pretty quick about if they ask me a question, I usually can come up with the answer.
Okay, so once you get towards the end of it, what do you see?
Probably more questions. And what I worry is that I'm not going to have all the right answers that they ask me, and they're going to think that it was a waste of time.
Okay, so how do you think you can better prepare for instances like that?
I think that's mostly a problem with me second guessing my abilities, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with me understanding the material. I've always looked for people's approval on what I did, and I don't know why. I care too much about what people think about me, and that also makes me nervous about any situation that I find myself in or any task that's given to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting better at it. In fact, today I got told that the preliminary drawings that I turned in today were a really good starting point, so that was a plus.
Okay, good. All right, so in your presentation, you're towards the end, you're finishing. What do you see then?
Well, I know everybody's not going to get up and clap because that would just be ridiculous, but I assume that I would be the guy that they'll come to from now on for any kind of rehab job or anything that we're. It's a coding inspector, which has nothing to do with engineering, but then again, it kind of does because that's what municipal or not municipal consulting engineers deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm the only one with that certification if I pass. So,
Yeah, that's good. All right, so talking through
it'll
this,
definitely make me more marketable too.
good. So talking through this process, do you feel a little bit
Yeah, more
ease?
easier. Yeah.
You don't feel as nervous about that? This is a good way to walk through things, and if you, like, for instance, hit a part where you're nervous, like you said, you may not be prepared for those questions. We figure out a way to how to figure out to get you a little bit less nervous about it. All right, so we've talked about the presentation. Unfortunately, we really don't have time to talk about the house issue. Is that a pressing issue, or can it wait?
It can wait till next time.
All right. So for next time, I want you to go home, and you said that itinerary is a major deal, right? I want you to go do that itinerary. That way, you can be prepared, and we can, sort of go in line on the presentation more so by the next time you come.
Okay.
Thank you for coming, and I appreciate your time.